Hey, there we go. All right, so today we're just going to be taking a look at the Geraldo item shops and making a quick comparison across every single Bloons game mode. We're not just going to be focusing on chimps. We're not just going to be focusing on boss battles, on like easy mode, medium. We're encompassing every single mode into this one tier list, and so that's how I'll be distinguishing the grading. So some things might gain some points because it's more versatile across everything, and some things might be losing points because you'll lose complete access to it on certain modes. So those are the rules. Now let's start ranking the items. We're in for a fun one here. So we're first starting off with Shooty turret. You get this immediately. However, you usually just don't have enough money because Geraldo costs, I think it's like $650 on hard. Shooty turret is really good because it's a permanent effect. It is basically like a 003 crossbow dart monkey. Really good, and it's always $270. I think one way if they wanted to nerf Shooty turret would be incrementally increase the cost every subsequent Shooty turret that you buy. So the first one might be 270, the next one might be like 300, and it just continues to pile up. I think for right now, Shooty turret is really good. This is like the bread and butter, and I'm thinking between A or B here. I think we're gonna start with A. Ultimately allows Geraldo to last in the early game. A tier for Shooty turret. Next up, we have the road spikes here. Road spikes are something that I like to call like a TSPP, which is essentially a temporary solution to a permanent problem. These are really only ever here for when you mess up and you think, oh crap, I need to place something down. But it's not an essential unit. It's something there that you just use because you have extra money left over and you want to be a little bit safer. For those reasons, I'm probably just going to put it in E tier for now, and we might even drop it down one. You know what? Actually, yeah, F tier. There's like very few moments in which this can be useful. Outside of essentially chimps, you have road spikes as a monkey knowledge, which is going to be placed on multiple paths anyways, and this one can only be placed on one path at a time. Okay, next up we have the slowing totem. I think it's called Creepy Idol. This is an item that becomes better, and actually they don't have a second image for the Creepy Idol, so I guess I'm gonna have to include the Creepy Idol as both variants here. So I have to consider that as well. I'm gonna say that Creepy Idol honestly is decent. The kind of unstable concoction ability it gets once you get the upgraded version of it later in the game is pretty solid, and the slowing power that it provides is decent. However, it's usually more decent on longer maps. With that in mind, I think we're gonna place it in C for now. It's good, but it's not like a fundamentally broken thing, and we'll be getting to some fundamentally broken things here real quickly. Speaking of which, we have the Jar of Pickles. Personally here, I might be overvaluing this a lot. I love Jar of Pickles, and it's not just because I love pickles. You know, you give me, just give me all of the pickles. I love pickles. It's really good because it's +1 damage, and the downside is, I believe, minus 20% attack speed. And then later in the game, again, we don't have like an upgraded variant of it, so I have to incorporate that here. It gains increased fortified damage, which also applies to like fortified Moab class balloon properties as well. So if they're fortified variants, I believe the bonus damage applies to those. And one more thing that we have to talk about, and this is kind of exclusive to 2 Tower Chimps challenges, 1 Tower Chimps challenges with Geraldo, stuff like that. If you use Pickle Jar on Geraldo, every single one of his crossbows gets the buff, which is huge. You can get so much more value on the Pickle Jar for that reason. And so that's where I'm leaning Pickle Jars to be either A or B tier. A tier. I think A tier, low A is probably a solid spot for that. Pickle Jar is amazing for any tower that shoots more than 1 projectile at a time. Like a tack shooter is gonna get extra value. A monkey ace is gonna get extra value. But because you have a limit to how many you can even buy in a game, I think that's it's a perfect place for it. Next up, oh boy, next up we have everyone's favorite shop item, Quincy action figure, aka the NFT. Quincy action figure. Ooh, this one's a tough. Quincy action figure is just really good in every mode. In boss battles, if you don't want to play Ben, or let's say Ben is banned in a week, it is like Geraldo is probably my right-hand man in those scenarios. I think I gotta give it the S tier treatment for now. Again, its one weakness is that it can't be used in chimps, but in every other mode, in half cash mode, in boss battles, in every other hard mode that exists, and in poppables so far and so on, it's just so good, so good. Anyways, moving on, we have the Camo detection item, which I believe is aptly called Sea Invisibility Potion. What a amazing name for an item. It's good, but it's not a necessity. There are other ways around it. I will say it's cheap. It's very cheap camo item. Yeah, I think we're gonna put it C. I do agree with that, Amphi. It does help skip the village, and just like the jar of pickles, if you use the camo on Geraldo, every single one of his shooty turrets is now able to attack, camo balloons. All right, tube of Amazo glue. Again, this is one of the items that they don't have a second upgrade for it, so this is going to be encompassing both the regular upgrade and then the later one. I genuinely think this is pretty good. The glue lasts for quite a while. It's got a pretty thick amount of pierce attached to it. I feel like the totem is probably a little bit better late game, but when I was doing my one tower chimps Geraldo, the glue came in very useful for just slowing down the super ceramics that were coming out for round 98. So I think we're actually just gonna put it in B right now. It's definitely better than the totem late game. Where do I put the sharpening stone? It's good for early game. I don't think it's that fundamental in your early game. I think Jar of Pickles provides a lot more value to a lot more towers than if you were to run Sharpening Stone. Sharpening Stone is just like, well, I have the extra money and it's cheap and it's an upgrade I could use. So that's what I'm feeling on this right now. I'm looking to probably put it somewhere in D or C tier. I think I'm gonna put it in C. It's obviously better than the totem. It gets more use because it's a permanent buff on the tower. You can sharpen a sharp tower and it will always have the sharpening stone tower until you lose that sharp property. So I'm gonna say, you know what, for that reason, it's B. I agree with you, Amphi, at this point. We have the Worn Hero's Cape up next here. Worn Hero's Cape is honestly a decent upgrade. I guess I'm gonna say we're gonna include bugs. And for that reason, Worn Hero's Cape is really good. Like maybe A tier because of the bug. Otherwise, I think if we're talking no bugs, I'd probably put it in B tier. I think I'm gonna plop it down in A tier for now. I'll think about reorganizing this later. We have another temporary solution to a permanent problem, Blade Trap. Blade Trap is just really good. The reason why Blade Trap is really good is because although Geraldo, especially on long maps, Geraldo can just destroy round 63 with things like the Chili Pepper, which we'll be reviewing next. On shorter maps, you aren't going to have the luxury for the Chili Pepper and everything else to be able to do enough damage on its own. Blade Trap for, I think the cost of, was it $540 in hard mode is a maelstrom. For $540, you get a maelstrom. To the point where you can use 3 maelstroms to just clear the ceramics on round 63 and just have everything else kill everything else. So it's better than spikes because of the power level of what it does, without a doubt. But for this one in particular, I'd probably still say it's like maybe B tier, you know, man, because we have super maelstrom along the way. It's a B tier for sure. It's a B tier for sure, but it's probably not better than a permanent item like Sharpening Stone. Actually, you know what, speaking of which, I think Sharpening Stone better than glue. Glue good, Sharpening Stone, again, it's permanent. Okay, we got the Chili Pepper, which is, it's not called the Chili Pepper, it's called, was it Jerry's Fire or something? We got Hot Sauce. Hot Sauce, very good. It basically is a Dragon's Breath. It's a Dragon's Breath with a faster ticking dot damage for a cheaper price. And although the limitation is wherever the tower you're putting it on, it only shoots in a small area, it's really good. It's really good. Better than Maelstrom though? Definitely. Better than glue? Definitely. All right, Next up, we got Fertilizer. It's just called Fertilizer. Again, great name, Ninja Kiwi. This is just insane. Again, you have the caveat of, yes, you don't farm on chimps. But again, every single other game mode in which you're playing farms, you're getting an increase of, I believe it's 25. You are getting 25% production for 5 rounds at the cost of $325 on hard and $360 on impoppable. I don't know if it's going to be S tier. It's for sure A tier in my books here, just because it doesn't last a while, but it's just going to help you so much in things like boss battles. This can't be applied to markets or banks. That's also, you know what? That's true, Amphi. That's also true. Is it better than Pickles? Is it better than Pickles? Is it better than Pickles? Dude, I like Pickles, but you need Fertilizer to make Pickles. Well, you need Fertilizer to make cucumbers. Okay, that's the reasoning. It's going ahead of Pickles because you need this to be able to grow Pickles. A tier for me. Fertilizer, really, really good. Yeah, we have everyone's favorite upgrade, which is aptly named Pet Rabbit. It's just funny. We got Bun Bun. Bun Bun. I might get some hate here, but Bun Bun is good, but also Bun Bun is not great. Bun Bun's good on very long map. Like, for any of the long maps in the game with great sight lines, Bunny is great. For any of the maps that are short, Bunny does not get enough time to actually do a lot of damage. And yeah, kind of how you say here, Chomp Chomp. This honestly feels like the most balanced item in Geraldo's shop. It's good. It's not amazing. I wouldn't want it over like Jerry's Fire and Maelstroms. So I genuinely think this is just the perfectly balanced item, and for that reason, I'm dropping it in C. I'm dropping it in C. I'm sorry. Bunny just doesn't do it for me here. B is for Bunny. Okay. True, Crimson. Okay, Rejuve Potion. This is gonna be a very thick, you know, if we're building like a person, like you got the head right here, and then you just got a gigantic, big old shoulders, giant chest, and then we're like thinning out, and then they skip leg day like every day right now. And that just feels like Geraldo's shop is just, he's thick on the top. He's got a lot of bulk up here. Rejuve Potion, really good. Again, the only place in where it's like, is Chimps, but you can still get value out of it in Chimps because it resets all cooldowns, which means if you're running to kill a bad, you can get 2 first strikes. You can get 3 first strikes because you're probably not going to use it on anything else. I think actually better than the NFT because it's just overall a better item. In boss battles, if you're going to do like a first strike spam, you can first strike spam, Rejuve Potion, first strike spam. Again, you're probably running Ben, but just that scenario does pop up. I'm agreeing with y'all. S tier for sure. S tier for sure. Up next, we have the Genie Bottle. So the Genie Bottle, this is going to be one of the few ones where I'm going to talk about when it unlocks, because the upgraded Genie Bottle is kind of where it's at. This unlocks level 12, and I believe, I think it's level 19, right? I'm just trying to think of like a very dense mob heavy round in which you're not going to have the upgraded Genie instead. By the time you have upgraded Genie, you're dealing with the late 80s, which typically have dense mob packs. But before that, you don't really have anything. So for that reason, the OG Genie, the only use you'd have for OG Genie is maps where you just need very quick mob damage and you don't have it anywhere else. I'm gonna give it the dumb treatment. We gotta assemble the legs here. We gotta give it some legs. All right, now we have the Paragon Totem, which is called the Paragon Power Totem. Paragon Power Totem is difficult to assess because this is exclusively boss battles. Just because in most games, you're probably not fishing out a Paragon for any reason. It's usually free play when you're going to be able to afford this in regular game modes. And in boss battles, you're only getting it late because it's a level 20 unlock. This is the level 20 item shop upgrade you get from Geraldo. But it's just very niche. Very, very niche. I think because we're assessing every single game mode and it's really only useful for like boss battles, and even then it's marginally useful, I gotta drop it down in, I think, D tier. Okay, now we're getting into basically all the upgrades. And speaking of which, I'm gonna move this one up since we did the road spikes to begin with. Now we have the upgraded road spikes. There's not much to say about this. This is almost as garbage as the regular road spikes. F tier for the road spikes number 2. It's just a color swap of the regular. Now we have upgraded Shooty turret. And if regular Shooty turret is A tier for its value it brings early game, upgraded Shooty turret is just like a bigger, better brother of the regular Shooty turret. And it still applies the same thing with the sharpening stone as well. But that being said, now it's gotta be A, because it's $270 for a crossbow, an upgraded crossbow. It's A. It's definitely better than its brother. All right, then we have the final upgraded road spikes. Just because I feel bad for putting them all in F, we're gonna give this road spikes an E. It is pretty tanky. The only reason you're buying these is just for super ceramic leads late game as like I don't know. Like this is your perma spike solution. You just be like, I'm just gonna place a bunch of these down here and just hope it's good enough. And now we have the upgraded Camo, which I actually think is pretty useful solely because it also increases the range of the tech. Things like Tack Zone, which tend to have a very tiny range, get a slight buff to the range. Also detects Camo and does bonus damage to Camo towers, which applies to DDTs, so it would do bonus DDT damage in that case. I think we're gonna put it above Glue, we're gonna put it above Maelstrom, but probably not above Jerry's Hot Sauce. All right, now we have the upgraded Sharpening Stone. This applies +1 layer popping and the +1 pierce of the original Sharpening Stone. This one is definitely better. For me personally, I don't know if it's S tier. I think we gotta place it above the Shooty turret as soon as I can place it. There we go. It's better than the Shooty turret because this can be applied to regular towers as well. And the Shooty turrets are great defense on their own, but yeah, this just has more utility. It's a permanent buff like we were talking about, and I think I'm good with just the best of the best in the A tier. Moving on to everyone's favorite upgrade, because oh my god, this upgrade, dude. Super Maelstrom for $540. Super Maelstrom for $540. Like, is there any way in which I don't put this in S tier? I know you have a limited use of them. I know they're temporary solutions to a permanent problem, but it is a Super Maelstrom for $540. How can it not be S tier? It's so good. You missing Super Ceramic Cleanup for round 98? Don't worry, I got you. Man, yeah, I don't know. It's just amazing. Part of my mind is just be like, how did this not go up in price or something when it gets upgraded? Because that's insane to me that it has the same price. Like at the very least, like double it maybe. So it costs like $1,080 per Super Maelstrom. Super Maelstrom, $540. That's all you need to say. If someone come up to you walking on the street and says, "Hey, can I interest you in a Super Maelstrom?" and you'd be like, that tower that cost me like $16,000, it'd be like, I can get it to you for $540. Then you're gonna look at them and be like, hell yes, give me that Super Maelstrom for $540. Absolutely, every time. Okay, we have the upgraded bottle of Jerry's Fire. I don't remember if this has a unique name to it. It's better than the regular. I don't think it's very much better than the regular. Okay, so it's just extra burn damage, which I guess is helpful for super ceramic clearing, which is when you're going to be picking this up. I've got to place it just above the chili. But do I have to? I really don't have to place it above, because this has a use early in the game for popping with leads. Yeah, you know what? It doesn't get that much worse, but it doesn't get really any better either. I kind of agree with that evaluation, Amphi. Like, it's an upgrade. It doesn't go up in price, so it's not like you're paying an exorbitant amount for just a crappier upgrade or something like that. You're still just going to be placing it every time it's available. All right, we have the final tower, and this is going to be the largest disparity between where the original is placed and the upgraded version, because This guy is an absolute beast for dealing with the rounds 80 plus. Yeah, exactly. Upgraded Genie is literally Spectre 3.0. Genie 2 is very strong. I agree. This is what you're doing. This is what you're using to deal with things like round 96. This is what you're using to deal with things like round 98, maybe round 99, round 93, stuff like that. It's just a beast of a tower. And if you combine this with things like glue, just to give yourself a little bit more time, it increases its value there. There is one caveat which I do need to mention about this tower, and that is the fact that it is always centered on the map. So in any map where most of the content, most of the push being through is built on the sides of it, you're gonna run into a little bit of trouble. So I'm thinking maps like, would it work on Bloody Puddles? Will it hit the end maps on that or no? I don't know if it hits the final two waves that well. It'll hit the middle 3 lanes, but the final 2 lanes, not so much. So stuff like that is what you have to watch for, but it's still, this is just an absolute wrecker of everything. So it's definitely A tier. Yeah, I think right here is where I'm gonna put this. Now, do I want to make any final evaluations? I'm kind of liking the B for Bunny thing. So we'll drop, there we go. We got B for Bunny. Congratulations. That's the only reason we moved it up from where it was. But I'm pretty happy with this tier list. In just the grand assessment of every single game mode in the game, I think this is a pretty fair evaluation. Like, Geraldo is just very front stacked. There's so many good upgrades. But yeah, I think Rejuve Potion is without a doubt his best item because of how much extra value it provides. I think the NFT, actually, I think the NFT is slightly, I'm gonna drop the NFT solely because you can't use it in chimps. And Super Maelstrom, you can use it in chimps. But yeah, this was the tier list. This was a fun little conversation we had here. I appreciate y'all for providing your insight. Chom, Amphi. Y'all are some high-level gamers. Everyone else, y'all are very high-level gamers as well, obviously. And appreciate for sticking out for this. Take care, y'all.